Hello, everyone, and welcome to your podcast, The Private Boardroom. I'm your host, Dr. Carlo Blanco, advisor in high pressure mental regulation. And in today's episode, I'm honored to have with me Jerry Katz. And Jerry is entrepreneur, is also an expert in terms of Premier CEO for Premier Protection. Is also investor and speaker. And having said that, if there's anything else, any title that I missed that
Yeah, I mean,
you want to add,
father.
but as, as a matter of fact, if you go into his socials, you'll see that he actually has. I actually saw it someplace, but it was like super father that you had included there.
Right, right,
So
super father. I
So
try to
it's
be at least.
great that you have that, and I bet from those roles, the most important one is being a father. So saying that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about what you do, and why not? Tell me about your family.
Right. I mean, my personal brand that we launched about a year and a half ago, you can find me everywhere. It's Jerry Katz, CEO, just like the little sign right here, KATZ CEO. You'll find me on all social media, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, and of course, Instagram, which is always the highest converting for some reason. But my background is, I mean, I'm born in Russia, but I came when I was 3 years old, so a poor immigrant that eventually found himself, with a lot of insecurities to drive that I didn't have enough money, and that led to me becoming, I guess, a serial entrepreneur, a serial leader, whatever you want to call it. Building several different companies, worked on Wall Street, sales leader, team leader, exited a couple real estate companies and scaled. And today I'm scaling another company. I deal with high net worth commercial real estate investors in high risk coastal states. And I use insurance as a profit lever. So it's an insurance model where we reduce insurance around, I don't know, 50%, 70% for high net worth real estate investors. And I still own you know, a real estate portfolio. We insure around $5 billion in real estate, and I own, over $100 million in real estate. But scaling this thing, I thought I was going to relax, but it's too good. What we're doing is disrupting a greedy insurance industry for real estate investors in high risk states, including Puerto Rico one day. There you go.
I said earlier, you're more than welcome here. So we expect to have you here soon. And Jerry, out of those roles, tell me which one have you enjoyed the most?
The most is, I mean, listen, I never thought I was creative before, right? But people are like, oh no, you're creative, you're an entrepreneur. And I get it now because I'm considered what they call a visionary, right? So I see a problem or an inefficiency in the marketplace that I have the skill set for, right? For example, real estate, insurance, mortgages, things like that. And I solve it. So you have to come up with something that's impactful. You have to solve a massive problem, right? Because otherwise, you're just a replica of something else. I like building, right? So that's fun. And, but I like to see the vision, I see the strategy, I get passionate about it. And then I have to start to build. I have to build a team. I have to build a company. I have to build marketing. I have to build branding. Um, the whole 9 yards from beginning to end. And then we think with the end in mind, okay, I want $100 million company. How do I reverse engineer? Who's my client? Who's my avatar? Who's my ideal transaction size? I mean, so at its core, that's where everything starts, right? Building like that. That's fun, right? Because it's all good. It's a vision. It's on paper, right? But then later you got to do it. That's the part that's always a pain in the butt.
Bless
That's
you.
the hardest part is the execution. And in my experience, most people do not execute, right? They're still sitting around going, hey, I solved this problem. I got a great idea. I'm not going to tell anybody. Well, that doesn't work. You can tell everybody because they're not going to do it. No one's going to do it, especially if it's a large scale problem. So I enjoy all that. And like I said, I thought I was going to relax a little bit in my early 50s. But the problem I solved for my real estate business with volatile insurance rates and really paying in the insurance industry and the real estate industry, we don't make claims. It's just if we want to borrow money from banks, we need insurance. We very rarely use it, and the stuff that we're forced to buy is 80% is we don't need it. The only 20% we need, right? And things like that. So I like designing all that, building it. The biggest problem is people always creating systems and processes. But where I show up the most is like I love to build a brand, right? I like speaking on stage. I love I vibrate at a high energy. That's what people tell me, right? I smile all day. I got a positive attitude. I always walk around. I will overcome no matter what, right? I'll find problems to solve and everything. But my superpower, I mean, they don't see that part, right? On the outside, people see me standing on stage and I don't sell from the stage. I'm just myself. And then 100 people want to be my friend. Or obviously, I built a brand, Jerry Katz CEO. I talk about relationships, fathering, real estate, all that. And now that brand is expanding. So, in a perfect world, I show up and sing. I got a super high level operations guy that handles the details. He's the opposite. We call that like an integrator that
Okay.
builds systems, processes, right? All of that helps build the team where I'm really a top line reporter, strategy, cultural leader, the visionary that created the problem, the founder. I inject my own capital, but I want to be like Mark Antony. I want to show up and sing, right?
Okay.
I don't want to produce the show. I don't want to, like, I can see the vision for the show, but then I need to tell somebody and let them execute, right? The that's the best thing. And if you can build a team around that with different strengths and people, it's greatest. But for me, I'm always told, I never met anybody like you. I'm like, there's something about you. I liked you. I want to hang out with you, that kind of stuff. So like I can walk into an event and leave with 50 friends. In fact, I have to guard my energy because sometimes I'll too much.
Thank
But that's where I prefer to be inspirational, leader, disruptive, right? But it starts with all those pieces. So,
And Jerry, how do you think that personality came about? Is it because of your bringing? Is it because you're from Russia and what you had to endure in your
well,
process to come to America?
right.
What
Well,
makes
yeah.
you be that way?
So I've done some work, right? So I've peeled the onion back, I guess we can call it, right?
Okay.
And I understand where it comes from. I've taken courses like we talked before about Landmark. I've gone to Tony Robbins 1,000 times. If there's a speaker and an author out there, chances are I've attended. I had a 15-year journey of this. But I think I mentioned to you the difference between me and most, some of the coaches that I've hired or people that I've talked to, they called me the one, a language distinction, the one, the one, the one. And I go, what's the one? I'm the 1%, according to them, not to me, that actually execute or take the steps to move it forward, where the rest just keep going to Tony Robbins for 12 years and their lives have not changed. They don't have better relationships. They don't have more money. They're not happier. They still haven't found meaning or purpose or a why. So, where me, I'm not going to take the whole seminar, right? Or the whole book, Awaken the Giant Within and implement it, but I take pieces, right? And it's my awareness trail. So, where it really started is it's pretty obvious to me today, and I would have never known. I like to say, you know what you know what you don't know, right? You Google it, but you don't know what you don't know. And once you find out, that's transformation. That's not change, right? So you're going to find out something about you. And for me, I'm involved in a lot of small groups, right? Forums of my peers through Entrepreneurs Organization, YPO, where we have confidentiality and trust and peers, and we talk about these things. So we create a safe place to get feedback on the top 5% in life, personal, business, community, family, that kind of stuff, spirituality. So I've learned that my first failure in life was we were Russian immigrants, right? My dad was a mechanical engineer. My mother was a chemical engineer, came from Russia under communism. My grandparents, my mom, all of us in an apartment building. It's a long story, but we came from Russia. I was around 3 years old. And the best thing and the worst thing that happened is we didn't know the language. So we were thrown into a community outside of Michigan, in Detroit. And my dad worked at Shell gas station, full service gas station, pumping gas. And my mother worked at Dunkin' Donuts until they learned the language. And we all lived in a 2-bedroom, whole family, right? But my grandfather
How many
was
siblings?
me, my brother, my mother, my father, and my mom's parents who
Okay,
left,
got it.
right, because they always go with the mother. But believe it or not, we lived a okay life, I think, in Russia because my mother's brothers didn't want to leave. Why? Because in Russia, first of all, religion is poison under communism and business is illegal. My mother was born in jail, but they say I'm my grandfather. My grandfather was a black marketer in Russia, right? You had to run under the black market. Otherwise you get nothing. You're a comrade. So he had a store in the Moscow subways, which was government owned, right? This is in the 50s. And the government owns it, and my grandfather was the manager, right? So on the backside, he had around 40 to 50 women knitting clothes, right? So they would be selling it on the side to get the cash flow. And once you have the cash flow, then you can start, buying tobacco or butter or whatever, and then that leads to greasing the right people and the right authorities, and then you get a better job. That's how it works in Russia. My mother, like I said, was born in jail because my grandfather was arrested so many times in that world. So I think genetically, I
You
got
got it.
I got that from him, right? Can you imagine? I mean, now I'm in a free world, right? So on. So when we made the move to Russia, I mean to the United States, my mother's brothers, my two uncles, they didn't want to leave because he had paid for positions for one of them to run a fur company, right? A huge fur manufacturer, and another one was running in an oil manufacturer. So they had a whole system of the right goods. So
Uh-huh.
they didn't. Yeah. So then when we came, my grandfather went back to his original trade, which was a tailor, right? And he was doing suits for the neighbors because he couldn't speak English.
The language.
So, right. The good news is we lived in a well-off community. Like they were smart enough to rent an apartment in a wealthy neighborhood. And my name was Igor at that time, which was I was teased. Russian, it's like John, Juan, Spanish,
Huh?
you know?
Common.
And yeah, as my parents started to make a couple bucks, they decided to throw a birthday party for me in like the second grade. I was around 6, 7 years old at a pizza place. And of course, what happened to the funny Russian kid is nobody came. Out of 12 people, 1, 2 people came. So I don't know what happened that day, but it's funny how vivid I can remember it, looking out the window of the pizza place to see if your friends are coming, sad. At first I thought it was the snow. It wasn't the snow. It wasn't snowing that bad.
It was the guest.
They didn't want to come to my birthday. So that I think was my first failure that like it's weird because I had to uncover and I heard other people's stories and I'm like, wait a minute, something similar happened to me. And whatever that failure was, I don't know why I chose to do what I do, maybe genetics. I don't know. You could tell us that. But that from that moment on, I was the kid that needed attention, that needed to matter, right? I became the class clown, right? In the third or fourth grade, I started organizing things. They changed my name to Jerry because the president was Gerald Ford. That's why they got rid of the Igor, right? Meanwhile, Gerald Ford wasn't even elected. My dad didn't know that, right? And so at that point, that became me, right? And by the time I got to middle school, I was doing anything to get attention, right? And I was the kid that the teachers, the troublemaker, don't do this. I was throwing parties. I started doing anything I could. I would, get beer illegally, sell it to kids, whatever I did to start to do all that kind of stuff. I remember I was going to the sixth grade dance and I didn't drink or smoke pot, but I rolled
Huh.
pot and I
You were
sold it, right?
selling or doing it.
Right. And then I started throwing parties, $10 a head, right? Things like that. And so, my parents had their own journey, which is I don't know if we'll go into that, but their journey was it's weird how things happen, right? Luck. I don't call it luck. Call it preparation. But one day when my dad was working at the gas station, he saw a gentleman with the back seat with a Russian manual in the back, and it was a Russian mining manual. So there was General Electric in Detroit was buying Russian mining equipment. And my dad happened to peek into the back guy's seat when he was pumping gas. And the guy goes, "Do you know how to read this?" He goes, "Yeah." He was learning the language, but he was an engineer, mechanical, right? So 3 days later, I came home when I was 6, 7 years old, and there was 14 typewriters in the living room. And they were translating the documents from Russian to English, my mother and my father. And that began their entrepreneurial journey. So I was around that. Everyone's typing typewriters, like who knows, 50 cents a page. Eventually, my dad got a job for General Electric. They gave him a job, and that became everything. But my mother stayed a manicurist because it was good cash.
And
Broke her back.
she's not Chinese. That's
Right.
something that mostly Chinese get into.
Yeah, this is back then, you know? So, but back to my journey is that's at that point, like I didn't know any better, right? I knew one thing. I knew I didn't have as much money as my peers at my school. We were in a wealthy neighborhood in a small apartment building that had like 10 units. I couldn't go to their camps. I couldn't go skiing with them, right? So I did anything. I couldn't even, go into the arcade, right, on a Saturday. That's how we did in the mall. My dad gave me $5. Their parents gave him $20, right? So I knew that. And then in middle school and high school, that's where the famous Wall Street movie came out. And there was a sign that I put up in my room that said the one with the most toys wins. And if you remember, this was in the late 80s. And it was in my room on the back of my door, and it was a guy with a mansion and a private jet and a beautiful wife and a Lamborghini. So I
That was
thought
your vision board.
yeah, it was my vision board.
Or that was the creation of the vision board. Back in the 80s, we didn't speak to vision boards.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. But like looking back, right, in Wall Street, greed is good, right? Gordon Gekko, all of this stuff. And at that point, that's what I was learning, right? Like greed, 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 good, make money, do this. I didn't focus on helping others. I focused on do whatever I need to do to make money, right? I got a valet parking job and I was doing crazy stuff. I remember I knew the doctors that would have marijuana in their glove box. I would steal it because they couldn't say anything, right?
Right? Exactly. So anything goes, right?
So by the time I got into high school, all the teachers hated me. All my friends loved me. I was able to have friends from different cultures and communities, different income levels, different high schools, because I was the guy on Friday night. You wanted to know where the party was, where the girls were, where to get beer.
Go
I was
to
the guy. I
go
was the guy.
to Jerry, aka
My
Igor.
on my beeper.
Igor.
We didn't
Wow.
have Instagram and TikTok and
No, no.
geo tracking. It was beeper, this, and then I would message out the events, and then they would pay like crazy, like
But
crazy.
the thing is that it seems like you took opportunity and life challenges and turned them into a situation that worked for you. Because it could be very easy for you to say, okay, I'm not being accepted, I'm being rejected. Hey, those guys, those kids have money, I don't have money. So then I can just do whatever I want to do. But something in you, and I don't know if it was seeing how hard your family did the work to keep on going. I don't know if it's genetics or sometimes, going back to what you said earlier, I wonder if that need that you had of feeling accepted or loved is what became, let's say, your kryptonite, maybe your weakness converted into your power. I mean, you said,
100%.
okay, my weakness is I'm different, I'm not loved, I don't have these friends, and you use that to your advantage and then worked on it so much that it became your power. Because right now, in all of these roles that you just shared, yes, you have to be cognizant of money, financial strategies, but the one thing that leads all that you do and gets you to your passion and what you do right now, it's your branding, it's who you are, it's who Igor, who Jerry is showing up. And that is not due to any, let's say, education. That's just the spirit that you've created for
Right.
yourself.
Uh,
So
it-
so it's interesting, and I get to see this
where does
very
it come
often.
from?
Exactly. And let me tell you, Jerry, it is so often that I see that when you have a tough childhood, sometimes it's because of the migration aspect, sometimes financial, sometimes because you were not loved, sometimes because of bullying, whatever it is. But when you reframe that and use it to your power, it just launches you into becoming not only a regular or let's say a good leader, but you just become someone that it's a 1%
Right.
of leaders. And that's
It's
what you've done. And that's what you've done. So that's great. Now, doing this work, being where you are now, more comfortable, yes, older, but wiser, enjoying life more, and knowing that you have all this success under your belt. I know that being a successful leader also takes a lot of responsibility. Where would
Yep.
you say that you feel that responsibility the most? And what cost are you paying for that responsibility that that you carry every day?
Right. Well, responsibility is everywhere, right?
Yes.
It's like massive
And
responsibility.
it's not
First,
only taxes, it's the
yeah,
family, it's business, it's everywhere.
right. The biggest responsibility, again, this is my mindset, is the integrity of my word, right? So there's a massive weight on you when I'm creating real estate profit boost. I'm gonna right? I'm going to maximize your property's value and reduce insurance costs by 60 to 70, 80%, increase your portfolio values. Now, when I say all this stuff, and then I have a team that executes it, and if they execute like poo poo, it comes back. It's a constant pressure, right? When my team screws up, and obviously we have 24 employees today, right? And this company and scaling from 30 million to 100 million, we'll probably double that in the next 12 months as far as how many people. The pressure is the legacy clients that call me, Jerry, this team's dropping the ball. This one didn't do that. These guys didn't do this. So it's a constant when you're the singer, the rainmaker, the brand, there's a constant stress and pressure. Number one, is your brand and your solution hitting? Is it to the quality? That's why I had to hire a new COO. It took 4 months. And like there's a tarnish on the brand as you scale, right? So I get anxiety. Like I walk into a real estate seminar and I'm got this whole thing. And yeah, I'm getting 10 new clients over here. Then I have a legacy client from 3 years ago come in and say, hey, you guys screwed this up, screwed that up. So there's a constant anxiousness that if I don't live up to what I say I'm going to do, right? And with high quality, high execution, build the brand, it's constant pressure to do that. Now,
And Jerry, how does that show up? I mean, does that show up, for example, in your thoughts, in your emotions,
yeah, last night I couldn't
body
sleep.
pain? Maybe you are having dinner and you just can't be present because you are thinking
Yeah,
about the legacy client or about
all
the
the
other
time.
client who's
Yeah,
upset or
right.
wanting to meet that deadline. How does it show?
It's I mean, listen, like yesterday, it was Sunday, right? We had a beautiful afternoon, went out with some friends, dinner, everything. I get home. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep early around 10 o'clock. I fall asleep at 10. I wake up at 3, right? So that's 5 hours. I'm like, great. My Monday starts hitting my head, right? Okay, we got a new COO. We're
Monday blues.
transitioning. Right, and then it just keeps going, right? And I've had coaches an hour, like, okay, thinking about what we're executing, thinking about what we're strategizing. How do we do it? Then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, relax, go back to bed, right? Don't go back to bed. Then what do I decide to do? Go have a cigarette on the balcony, have another cigarette on the balcony, pick up the phone, this and this, that. Then I'm like, my God, what am I going to do now? Now it's an hour later, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. Put everything down. I went to bed. I had a 2 hour window I was up where my head, and I've been to monks where they say, 50 things of gratitude. Okay, my kids are in the house, my dog's here, whatever.
I'm
Like
alive.
sometimes it works, sometimes it
Sometimes
doesn't.
it doesn't.
Right. And then finally, like at 5 o'clock, I went to bed. And then boom, I woke up again, 6:45. So I'm getting better with those kind of nights, but that's where it shows up. The worst place it shows up with me is I'm a problem solver. I don't know how to very difficult for me to stay still. I don't know how to stay still. I have a very difficult time being alone or by myself. And then I've been practicing that for 10 years, right? And then the worst thing for me is like I'll get involved in personal relationships, wife, girlfriends, things like that. I'm divorced from my first wife. I got married when I was 30. I had 2 kids with her, my 2 boys today. She was very OCD. That's how, not anymore. And I was very, executing, always looking for problems to solve. And if I go back, she used to tell me that nothing she did was ever good enough for me. Right. And stuff like that. Today, back then I would have agreed with her like a dummy, right? But it wasn't her, it was me, right? Oh, why isn't the dinner bigger enough? Why did you cook steak so rare? What, you know what I mean? Like the craziest things. And then I would show her how to cook or how to organize and this. But at the end of the day, doesn't work, especially in a relationship where you have a real partner, great mother, good person. She was smart. She went to grad school. She did all the bills in the back of the business. We grew a business together, opposite skill sets, right? But she used to tell me she never felt good enough. So back then, I would be like, stop it. Stop your self-limiting beliefs. Be like me. Start thinking positive. Start going to solutions. Stop telling me you're not good enough. At that point, I thought it was her. Like, filled with these self-limiting beliefs. And maybe I attract people like that. And because I need to matter, because I need my birthday party filled with kids, right? I tend to need validation that what I'm saying or what I'm doing is better than what they're doing. And if I can teach them, then I'm loved and I'm respected more. But that's a whole, so I've been kind of figured that out.
No, it's interesting that you brought that up because in this conversation, by what you shared, look at this. There's a story to every story, and that is when you were a child, things like that birthday party happened. I didn't feel appreciated or loved. And now I'm seeing that personality that you developed, which is good because it's given you the business that you have, but
Superpower there.
also was an attempt to be validated. And here we are 50 something years later, and that remains to be something that you want to conquer. And not only that, but interesting how it has shown in your relationships and the toxicity that it brought to your relationships. And number two, how what takes away from your success now, from enjoying what you built, is precisely that. I'm thinking about my clients, and even though you didn't mention it directly, the idea that you want to be the best to your clients is based also on the fact that I want to be validated by them. So see how important this validation theme is to you,
Yep.
from Igor
And it's, go ahead.
to Jerry, the successful CEO. So very
100%.
interesting. And I'm so glad that this came out because in this podcast, this is exactly what we want to do. People, leaders that are listening to us, they reflect to the guests that we have. And sometimes with these examples, it's the best for them to go, oh, that's me. What Jerry's saying, that's what I have to focus. And sometimes it's just the opposite. They hear your story and they go, that's not mine, but what he just shared made me think about this other situation that I have to conquer. So great that this came along. Great also for you because now you can have in the forefront, okay, this is the key to solve this situation. Because one thing also that I get to see a lot, Jerry, in successful leaders is that it's called a little bit like imposter syndrome. And imposter
Yep.
syndrome is not only, oh, I present myself as the doctor that does this, but I'm not capable. Not only that, but also when you have the anxiety that you carry because you're wondering, will my team do enough? Will what we are doing for that client be enough?
Right.
So it's important. And now that we identified here, it's important that you work on this aspect of the validation so that you can relax more and know that all will be all right, tolerate perhaps failure, but also in your relationships as you keep meeting new people. And if you decide to have a partner in your life, it would be great that you can eliminate this
Yeah. I've been
validation
there.
need
Hmm.
and move forward.
Right.
But the good
It's
thing, it's clear here. We are discussing it out here for everyone to see. We are all learning from you in this point. You are the master who's teaching us on this. And let me tell you, this resonates a lot because even in my case, when I have, for example, I'm working with someone and I make a proposal and they say no, the first thing is, what am I not meeting? Instead of thinking, perhaps it's not the time, perhaps they're looking for something different. So we have to start looking at things not from validation, but from realness. And that's how real business is conducted. So here's an opportunity both for you to grow, for me to apply, and for our listeners to learn from this as well and apply it. So great that you brought this.
yeah.
Now, Jerry, I wanted to ask you, since you mentioned that you've gone, to many Tony Robbins and many of these mentors. I didn't have this question planned, but I do want to ask, what's the biggest lesson that you've obtained from these mentorships that you've gone throughout your life?
So many I can't even count.
Okay.
The
There has to be
biggest,
one, at least, that resonates deeply.
well, the biggest lesson is that, okay, so if I can put it in a macro perspective, is like, the movie The Matrix,
Yes,
right?
of
So I
course.
don't, right. It's almost like you're running around inside the Matrix, right? And the Matrix is not, the world, it's your head, right? So it's like you're operating from a system of involuntary, things going on in your subconscious. It's how you react, it's how you see things, it's how it gives you your vision. It's, are you half empty, are you half full, do you need validation, do I need to matter, do I need safety, do I need belonging, all these things. And for the first, 2-3 decades of your life, you have no idea. You think you're right, you think you're opinionated, you think all that stuff that you think is real, right? And I'm running this operating system of, I need my birthday party filled as a kid. And yeah, maybe the results worked. It created a superpower for me. But what if I understood that's where I was coming from? So it goes back to the awareness that you learn about your mindset, that God created a perfect universe, right? So the universe, you can allow your subconscious to run and control your life, your happiness, whatever you create, or do you want to make your life? So to get to a point of which is a constant thing for me, is how do I get to a blank page, right? Just like I created a business, right? And start with this. And now let me create my life, how I want to think, how I want to feel, and everything. So I've learned that it is possible, right? And awareness is is the beginning. So if I look at a macro level, it's going back to what I said earlier. You know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. So I feel that now that I understand this, that I have the code to the matrix. Remember when he sees it? So once you realize that, along with your faith, and that you realize that God created a perfect universe, it's here to put rockets on Mars. It's here to build a family and a beautiful wife. It's here to build a business. It's here to be a chicken farmer if it makes you happy, right? Like the point is you kind of see how it works, right? But I would have never, listen, if I talk to the people, some of them, they work here, they don't have They think they're supposed to be who they're supposed to be and that their opinions are correct and what their parents told them to do is what they should be doing and all of that stuff. They're living in this, and 95% of the world lives on autopilot. They do not get it. They believe that they should be the bus boy at the little Super Boyo because their parents were, right? It's all so
So
understand.
limiting beliefs, limiting beliefs.
Correct. Right. So it's understanding that how the brain works, how mindsets work, where it was built, where it come from, and the power to change it is my biggest takeaway in the last 10 years, where before my business has never reached over $1 million, by the way, because I was hiring and interviewing people that I thought I could help teach, fix their problems, fix their self-limiting beliefs. And I would say, like, relax, Jaime. You're going to be able to handle the commercial. Don't think you're just going to only make 50,000. I'll help you and I'll do this. And I was hiring all these kind of people. Well, guess what happened? My business has never got over about $1.5 million in revenue. Why? Because I was the smartest guy in the room. I
The
create
1%.
I created a subconscious glass ceiling of hiring everyone around me that looked up to me, that I could show them how to be better in life and self-limiting beliefs and everything. But what happened? I'm capped. So I learned that the hard way because I spent all my energy bringing up all these around me, right? So it's like you're throwing a lifeboat out to somebody who's drowning, but he came near you because you're the lighthouse, right? And then you swim out there, and they're never for years they'll never get in the lifeboat, and you end up wasting your energy and drowning because I need to be loved, respected, and mattered, and I need right and all that. So I finally broke that cycle. Huge learning for me, and I would blame everybody else for not being good enough, but I'm hiring them, right? And sometimes I put big pressure on them. I'd push them, and 9 out of 10 would crack because they were never meant to be that 1%. They would just go. You could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. Well, I was the guy that would bring them on, and then I would take their head and push it in the water. Right? I've lost a lot of good people around me, things like that. But now I only hire people with different skill sets, different unique abilities, and people like in operations or in IT, way better than me. Let me right. And now, boom, $100 million company. It's amazing.
Awesome, awesome,
And
awesome,
that all was here. Okay.
awesome. And what you found, Jerry, is the key to work outside of the matrix. And
That's
that
right.
gives you power. And that basically what you're creating is the opportunity to create the life that you want. Now, knowing that you have that key, that it's up to you to do it and that you can do it, that's the most important thing. Having gone through your divorce, being that now you're single, what remains now at this level to make
Right.
the life you want now? What still is a challenge and that you are vulnerable enough to recognize it
Yeah.
and ready to say, hey, I'm going to conquer this because this is also important for Jerry, the person, and for Igor, the
Right.
kid.
I mean, listen, I just came out of I had we're about a year apart now, but I had a 6-year relationship with a beautiful woman. But I'm telling you, I started by rescuing her. Right? I was still the rescuer, right? Oh, he's a beautiful girl, 2 daughters, her ex-husband was a drug addict, all this stuff. Let me rescue you, Russian immigrant. And not well, she's beautiful. Chemistry's great. Loves to go dance, party, this, that part, perfect, right? But it's the other part, like learn the language, learn the this, let me rescue you. I'll take you from here to there to there. And same thing. What ended up happening is nothing she ever did was good enough. I was pushing her out of all of her comfort zones, right? And I couldn't tell at one point is it worth it the effort? Or we can get through this? Am I fixing too much? Am I creating problems that don't exist? She doesn't want to be me. Why did I choose her? right? She doesn't need to do all these things. So I created, it was great during COVID because we were home 2 years. We would do this, everything was fine. But then the real world came in and she's not even using a calendar. She can't balance a budget, right? And I had a great time going to parties with her. But then when business opened again and I speak on stage, she can't handle it, right? Who are you talking to? Who's following you on Instagram? This. It's not that she just couldn't deal with it. She couldn't fly at that altitude. And it was just led to chaos. So, and for me, I always find a problem I need to solve. Even if we were having 3 great days, I'll find something wrong. The same thing. I started hearing, I'm not good enough. Go find someone else. Beautiful girl. Right. And people like, it's just, and now that I'm single again, now it's a year. So that ended. It didn't work. Right. It never ends pretty. Right. And because they feel inferior. I feel like I'm fixing everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Same thing. And now I'm like standing on my, after
Guilt,
that one.
guilt, and
Right.
blame and all of that. Yeah.
Fixing. I go, that's it. I'm not fixing. I'm going to attract. I'm not going to chase. So now I'm on this new world of I'm attracting. I'm not chasing. I go to business events. I talk this. I have people come to me. They align with me. I'm not rescuing them. I went out with this girl from Boston, MIT grad, this super genius, five, this third date. She's like, Jerry, I don't need a coach. I need a
I
boyfriend.
remember you told.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, so it shows up because it's also my attraction superpower. And then, like, now my kids are getting older, they're at school, I go home, I don't know how to sit still. So I come home, say, okay, I'm going to watch a show on Netflix, right? People say, oh, don't binge watch. Well, really, I can't even get myself to focus on one, right? Like Yellowstone
For
or
you,
something,
binge
right?
watching would be a success. Yes.
Right. I wish I could because I'm always back on my phone or doing that.
Right.
So I find for me, if I'm not in motion, I don't have peace. I find peace by being in motion. People always ask me, some people say, are you on Adderall or something? Zero, zero. They're like, you have a dinner Monday night. Tuesday night, you're speaking at an event. Wednesday night, you went out to an event at the boat show and came back and went on Thursday, you're here. Friday, like, and then they see me on Instagram and the personal brand. And they're like, what's this guy? It's because, like, if no one's home, I'll stay here till 8 o'clock at night. Or I have an assistant, my executive assistant, Danny, she's here. I so overscheduled, right? Everywhere, all over my calendar. And then I go to her, oh my God, I have anxiety from my schedule. But I don't know what to do with myself sitting on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And I started to play pickleball. That lasted a little while. Instead, I go walking and I listen to another podcast, right? Learn something new. And then and then the dating, I don't know.
You
I
know what,
haven't,
Jerry?
yeah.
Thank you for being so raw and honest because I've talked to so many leaders and they're doing wonderfully in their business, but then they suck, and that's the word to use in their personal time. They don't know what to do. Their relationships are collapsed. In end, they're not enjoying life. And the fact that you bring this is great that you have the capacity to look at yourself, to know what works, what not. And I'm going to ask you something, and this is not meant for you to answer. This is a question meant for you to just have it, keep it, and explore it. And the question is the following. I wonder what could it be that you're still evading or that you haven't dealt with or you don't want to see that you need to keep this pace. Otherwise, you are not at peace. You don't have to answer that now. That's a
Right.
question to keep. And I would say that, in your free time, finding the response to that question would lead you into getting yourself to being the best Jerry, not now in personal brand and all of that we know you excel, but just bring your private Jerry to the same level of where the professional Jerry is. And this is not to say that there's something wrong with you or anything like that. Just to the contrary, I always say people that are cognizant of their areas of development, cognizant of, hey, I'm not doing so well in this area, I could be doing better. Those are the people that are really first mature. They have awareness, which means that then they can really solve their SHIT and move forward. Highly intelligent people. So the fact that you are there, it's great. Now, not every leader has that capacity. And yet, when I see someone, and I find it here when I talk to my guests that they do have it, I push them because they are already there. And I
Got it.
know you have what it takes to be there. So that's why I'm pushing you to find that, because I know that you're committed to your personal wellness as well as your private or professional wellness. And I know that the internal work that you do definitely also will be good for your team and for your business and for your ultimately for your clients. So I'm very grateful of everything you've shared. And believe me, I could just stay here for 2 hours more because you definitely have that speaker persona. You're open and you have a lot of wisdom in what you share. And you have no idea, Jerry, how many leaders and founders, men and women, we find it in both men and women, feel the same way, but they are unable to articulate it or even explore what's lacking. So the fact that you are doing it here,
My father.
thank you, because it enlightens many people that will be listening to this.
Right, and like my father, like, he doesn't wanna talk about this stuff. My father can't
Oh,
sit still. We're at a barbecue at the house. "Where's dad?" "He's mowing the lawn." I go, "What are you doing mowing the lawn?" Right? Because he's the same way. He cannot sit still. He's 85 years old. He still bikes 10 miles. He's retired 5 times. And when I start talking to him about, like, "Hey, dad, it's not enjoying life when we're having a barbecue with my kids, everybody here, 20 people at the house, you're mowing the lawn. You can't even," right? And of course, everybody's cooking wrong, right?
uh-huh.
And I'm like, but he doesn't care. He's like, "Son, th- this is like," he doesn't even want to explore. And he thinks he's okay. But we see him from the outside. We're like, my God, like, he's finally a little chilled out, but not really. So I get it. I don't want to be like that, right? And I noticed it when I had kids. Like, why at the soccer game? He's already planning half at the soccer game when my kids are playing, right? He's already building his Home Depot list and wants to leave at halftime, right? And I'm like, I
So
look
let me
at
have
him.
it.
Right, I'm like, Dad, the kids want you here to root them on. That's all.
and your kids, your two sons, can say,
Right.
"Hey, Dad, what you're accusing Grandpa, you are doing it.
I've been there.
We're
And I
on
can
to you, Dad. We're on to you."
Yeah, and listen, I now that today I'm much like more a coach with my kids only because I've been through these 10 years, right? But I have some sad memories of me like being on a boat with my son and demanding like my father, or them not feeling good enough, right? You didn't fish the right way, you didn't do this the right way. And I think I was lucky enough because of meeting some people, well, somehow in EO and entrepreneurs organizations, people who were really focused on changing their mindsets and doing these things, that I caught it when they were 8 to 12, right? But, like, otherwise, I would have been like my father. Nothing was ever good enough for my father. I couldn't even have a dog at the house because I wouldn't clean the hair. I had a contract. I had to make $2,000. He gave me 2,000 to sign to buy a car, right? Like crazy stuff. Nothing I did was good enough. So there's somewhere in there is that too.
and
But like,
and Jerry, I don't know if you've noticed this, but both your father and your ex-wife or your partner, have you
yeah,
noticed how the topic of not good enough shows one, two, three, and it keeps
yeah,
showing? It's interesting.
It's exhausting.
It, it's interesting and exhausting.
When's it
Well,
going to be good enough?
to that. And, and that is changed through seeking self validation. And I'd like to close with that
Awesome.
because, I know I would say one of the biggest problems of our society is just that is I'm not good enough. If I'm unique, that's a problem. If I'm different, if I'm Russian, if
Right.
I don't talk, if whatever makes me unique, we tend to see it as a negative factor, and then look at all the implications that form throughout our life. So if we start just accepting us for who we are, and that validation that we spoke about, find out how we can work. And yes, validation is important, but it's self validation. So do the work as how I can still gain that validation, but get it from myself. And that's the internal work that I would say everyone, you, me, everyone listening to this podcast will feel, hey, that's work to be done.
I
So,
agree.
food for
I
thought.
With that close, I agree because even though I know I have a positive attitude. I walk around with the story. I'll overcome everything. But I mean, I don't. May have an aha moment here. I guess at its core, I don't think I'm good enough, even though I'm this massive achiever that people look at me and I'm like, shit, my girlfriend's not good enough. My this one's not good enough. My sons aren't good enough. My business isn't good enough. And no matter how I achieve, my car is not good enough. She's not good enough.
Right.
Right? It's
Now,
like,
the point is knowing that we have this programming and you have it, I have it, and we all have it. If we start working with that programming, validating ourselves, I imagine next time that you stand up as a speaker, next time I'm doing a podcast or doing whatever I do, and we are coming from a self programming in the subconscious, which basically, to make it short and clear, is that part of the mind that we're not even aware of, but that leads our actions. If we program it correctly and it's programmed so that I love myself, so that the same conscious programming that you've done to yourself, I can do it. I run through these limiting beliefs. If I'm programmed subconsciously to that, I imagine what your success would be. Not the success that you have. It's going to triple, quadruple. The same to the people that you're helping, that now you know how to deal with better people, but the same thing. If they're able to work through their mind, how better would they be on their performance in their life as well? How happy would they be? And one thing that I've learned also, when you're happy, performance goes to the roof. And people don't see, Jerry, this connection. But happiness, self-love, self-love, clear mind is closely tied to business and monetary success. And people still think that it's all about the money one side and personal the other side. If you're being successful with your business, still having personal issues, I imagine when you align that as well, how successful you can be. And that
yeah,
goes to you, to me, and to all that are listening. So if you're wanting your
100%.
business to be sustainable and to grow, which I know you are, I am, everybody is, internal work. And internal work, Jerry, I don't mean going to therapy, talking about problems. That's part of the thing that, you have to talk and just empty your garbage. Yes. But it's more about mind programming. What am I feeding my mind, consciously and subconsciously?
No, I 100%. Every business problem is always a personal problem. It's not the business
Wow, how
problem.
powerful. Say that again. I love that line.
Every business problem is always a personal problem or a me problem. It's not the business problem. They all stem back, right? You hear entrepreneurs, I can't get a good salesman. Really? It's not that. It's your mind. It's up. Yeah, so shift it. How do I come up with a better way to get it? Every business problem is always a personal problem. Every family problem is a personal problem. It's all back to this. So 100%.
Now the question is, how many times are we open to do that?
All got to
And
do a
that's the
million. You
question.
got to build the habits. We all know what that takes, right?
Sometimes we
Thousand
think,
repetitive,
right.
right? Yeah, thousands of repetitive
And to
catches.
close, and to close, I'm gonna say this. Sometimes we're so fearful of doing that internal work that it's better to not look over there and to do more trips, to drink more, get a new partner, but that in the end gives more debt and your anxiety rises.
Right.
So
I
that's not the
agree.
solution.
Right.
But we're not going to conquer the world today, but I know that day to day we will, Jerry.
That's right.
So, having said that, Jerry, it's been a true honor having you on the podcast. And
Thank you for having me.
thank you. And if listeners and those that will watch as well want to contact you, be it to learn from all the wisdom that you've shared today, or even also to have you as a speaker, or to also get your assistance in this insurance aspect that you're currently working on, how
Yep.
can they do so?
I mean, the easiest way is to Google me, Jerry, JerryKatz, CEO. That's the brand. It's on X, it's on LinkedIn, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, Real Estate Profit Boost, or just go to jerrykatzceo.com. I think I think the algorithm's got me. If you put in Jerry Katz CEO, you'll find me because our SEO people have done it. But reach out, you'll see my YouTube speaking, my insecurities that the birthday tables are full are it's working. So you'll find me. I've made it possible with
You
my
probably
superpower, which is
you'll
also my
probably get a few birthday invitations from this podcast.
right.
They'll go,
Exactly.
hey,
But just keep in
Igor,
mind,
I'm
it's
calling the
also
Igor in you to invite you to your
right.
birthday party.
Please call me. But remember,
Well,
my
thank you,
biggest
thank you.
superpower is also my biggest enemy, right?
Yes. But you know
All
what? That's
right.
the light
Thank you.
and that's the darkness that
That's
resides in every human. We
yin
just
and
need
yang.
to find the way, look at everything, and then decide to be more light than darkness. That's the
I love
game.
it.
So
Love it.
thank you,
Thank you very
Jerry
much.
Katz, for being on this podcast. And we'll see each other very, very soon. Thank you to
Thanks so
everyone.
much. Bye bye, everybody.